Welcome back for a new edition of Solving Equations. Today we're going to be solving equations that involve multiplying and dividing as an inverse operation. Okay, so if you recall from our first page of notes, we said that multiplication and division are inverse operations of each other. Okay, so in other words, if I want to undo multiplication, I divide. If I want to undo division, I would multiply. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. Okay, so step one is to locate your variable. So your variable is an x on number 1. All right, what is happening to your variable? It's being multiplied by 3. Okay, we just don't write the multiplication symbol. So to undo that, I would divide by 3. What is 3 divided by 3? Well, it would equal 1. So we would have 1x. All right, same as our last video. Whatever I do to one side of that equal sign, I have to do to the other side of the same thing. Okay, so if I divide by 3 on the left, I have to divide by 3 on the right. All right, so now we have to take 36 divided by 3. If I need to do that, I need to make sure I do it way off to the side so I'm not interrupting with my equation. All right, so it is going to be 12. Okay, so 1x equals 12. Final answer, we don't really need the 1. All right, so it would just be x equals 12. All right, last step is always to check. Okay, check your solution. If I substitute in a 12 for x, I would have 3 times 12. What is 3 times 12? Well, hopefully it is 36. So our answer is correct. All right, let's look at another one. These next two, 3 and 4, both have negatives. So this is practicing our integer rules. And remember our love note that I write on the board all the time? I wrote it down for you on the side. All right, so number 3, locate your variable. We have a variable n. What is happening to our variable? It is being multiplied by 10. What is the opposite of multiplying? Division. So we are going to divide by negative 10. All right, whatever I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other. All right, so I have to divide by 10 on both sides of the equal sign. A negative divided by a negative, same rules as multiplying, so that would be a positive 1. So we have isolated our variable, and that's what we want to do. Now let's go to the other side. A negative divided by a negative is positive, and a 50 divided by 10 is 5. All right, check. Negative 10, substitute in the 5 for the n, times 5 equals negative 50. All right, a couple of vocab words I want to mention. Okay, this step right here that I made you do on both sides of your equal sign, that is your inverse. Your inverse operation. And if you remember back to our last unit, we called it the inverse property. Same thing. Okay, another vocab word I want to mention every now and again is solution. And solution is the answer to an equation. All right, good work. Let's look at one with division. Okay, number 6, I slid down a little bit, has a division. It has that fraction bar, that vinculum, which means to divide. Hopefully we've said that enough in class that we're starting to believe it. So on number 6, find your variable. Okay, we have a v. What is happening to the variable? The variable is being divided by negative 2. What is the opposite of division? To multiply. Now this is going to freak some of you out, but bear with me. If I multiply by -2, I want to multiply by -2 over 1. Now here's my reasoning. I'm multiplying 2 over 1 times v over 2, right? The 2's are across from each other, so they would cross simplify, just like when we multiply fractions. All right, so if they cross simplify to be 1's, the only thing left on this side of the equation is that v. Okay, because the rest of everything is 1, so I left with 1v. All right, let that all sink in. So we ended up multiplying by -2. So we got to do the same thing on the other side of that equal sign. Line up the equal sign. We're going to multiply by -2. A positive times a negative equals a negative. So don't forget those integer rules. And it's going to be -32. All right, check, check. -32 divided by -2 would be 16. Okay, you can divide it out if you don't believe me. All right, so that's a little weird in the workspace, so I definitely want to talk about one more of those. So, sliding down a little bit more, let's look at number 7. Okay, so find your variable. We have a y. Don't freak out that it's on the right side, okay? Same business. All right, what's happening to our y? It's being divided by 8, -8. What's the opposite of dividing? Multiply by -8. Okay, when this happens, I really like it when people show their work with a fraction, because then that proves that the 8's are cross simplifying. I never want you to think the numbers are just disappearing, okay? It mathematically cross divides to be 1. All right, so we've worked our magic, got rid of the 8's, and got a lonely variable. All right, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. Okay, now on this side I don't need the fraction because the 2 is not a fraction. So now I have a negative times a negative, so I'm going to end up with a positive 16. So our solution is 16. All right, check your solutions for one of your questions. Okay, so I went ahead and turned the page. I know I only have 2 minutes left. Time flies when you're having fun. So I do want to translate some equations for you, or with you, because I know this is something we're still struggling with. So let's start with 13, and it says product. Product means to multiply a number, that's where we use our variable, and 5. So the way that I would show this is I would put a big old 5 and then pick my favorite variable. Okay, whenever I see the word is, that's where I put my equal sign. Okay, so I have 5n equals 30. Okay, product means to multiply. All right, 14. A number, okay, so that's where we pick our variable. Divided by, that means division, by 5, and then the is my equal sign, -13. So all I did was decode that into numbers and symbols. Now your algebra teacher isn't going to really like the line ... for the division symbol. Okay, so another way to write that is with the vinculum. So 5 divided by, n divided by 5 equals your 13. -13. All right, I'm going to sneak in one more here with you. Quotient means to divide. Okay, so we're doing another division problem of a variable, a number, and -4. Okay, so I'm going to use the vinculum. So a number divided by -4 is your equal sign 15. All right, thank you for watching.